back to my channel if you happen to be new here. My name is Jess. As you guys can tell from the title of this video, it's going to be my April wrap-up. I've actually been seeing a lot of wrap-ups already on BookTube, and I'm a little blown away by that because I feel like a lot of you guys can relate. I cram until the very end of the month, like the very last day, midnight. I'm trying to read what I'm trying to read. I actually have one book that I'm still currently reading that I'm almost done with. I think I have about 50 pages left, and I'll show you guys that at the end of this video. But I did want to sit down and show you guys the books that I did manage to finish in April. There aren't a whole lot of them. As of right now, I think I am 12 books behind on my challenge, which is totally fine because I know that I can catch up, and I'm not too hard on myself when it comes to my reading challenges. Like, I set them up to be a challenge. So the fact that I'm a little bit behind does not get to me at all, whether I catch up or not. As a disclaimer, I didn't read that much, so I'm not gonna have a whole lot to talk about, but like I said, it doesn't really bug me if what I've read in a month isn't like 20 books. I don't really care. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the books that I did finish in the month of April and what I thought of them. I think I have a review for a couple of these on my channel, and I'll let you know if I do, if you guys want more information on them. But yeah, let's go ahead and just get started. So the first book I did finish, I do have a review for on my blog, and that would be Fresh Ink. It is a short story anthology, and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It has a ton of representation in it. It has bisexual, lesbian, transgender. It has everything that you can imagine when it comes to representation in the book. It was really good. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars because of the representation. I did rate that book more on overall enjoyment for the whole book because I didn't want to rate it on a story-to-story basis. But if you guys are interested in a short story anthology that does have a lot of representation, I think you guys would really like that. Now, the next book I managed to read in the month of April, I did not like. I ended up giving it 2 stars, and there is a full review for this on my channel. It would be Cyborg 9. This is a comic book that is based off of a manga, which is based off of an anime, or an anime that's based off of a manga. I still don't know. I really wanted to love this. I have a lot of friends who have seen the anime and really liked it. I think what I'm going to end up doing is picking up the manga and actually reading that instead. It's about these 8 people, 9 including our main character, who are actually kidnapped, and they are turned into cyborgs, given a bunch of different powers by this organization in an effort to sell them to essentially start World War III. And I really like the premise of it. It did fall short. Like I said, I'm not going to go too much in detail on why I didn't like this. I will say, though, I love the art style in this book. I thought it was very beautiful, but the story and the dialogue within it were kind of missed for me. So I did end up giving it 2 stars, but like I said, I am probably going to read the manga. Now, the next book I have here is a book that I've been wanting to read for a very long time, and I'm glad that I finally got around to reading it. I do actually own the second one as well, and I can't wait to read that. And that would be A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I have been wanting to read this for so long. I've owned it for so long. G, who's one of my best friends, was telling me that I needed to read it. I don't know why I didn't. I ended up giving it 4 stars, only because there isn't a whole lot of plot in this, but the characters definitely make up for it. It's definitely a more character-driven story. This story follows our main character, Rosemary. She is kind of running away from her life, and I don't want to go too in-depth on why because I feel like it sort of spoils the tiny plot that is in this book. But she finds herself on a ship called the Wayfarer, and she's kind of working as a clerk for the guy who runs the ship. And I really like the storyline, what little bit there was, but like I said, there is so much more character in this than I ever thought I would ever read in a book. It was absolutely breathtaking. I loved every single character. Sissix is my favorite. She kind of reminds me of an Argonian, if you guys have ever played anything Elder Scrolls related, if you guys are familiar with that world. She definitely reminds me of that. But I loved this book. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars because there was a bit of a plot deficit, but I still really enjoyed it. If you are a character-driven person, if you love characters, I think you would find this so amazing. I absolutely loved it, though. I did pick up the second one, and I'm really excited to read that. Although I have heard that the second one is written very differently, which is totally fine for me, as well as these are kind of standalones. The main character in this one, Rosemary, the second one does not follow her. It actually follows 2 completely different characters, and I actually really like that. So if you're looking for something that is more character driven, has a tiny bit of a cool plot, and is more sci-fi, I think that you'd really like this. Now, the next book I have here is actually our pick for the Sassy Book Club, and I gave this 3 stars. I thought there were some things about it that I didn't 100% love, but I still thought it was a fun, enjoyable, quick read for me. And that would be Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. This follows our main character, Julia, who is deaf. She goes to a deaf school, but she also, as you can tell, does arts graffiti in like her free time. Somebody kind of tags something on the back of their school making fun of her best friend, so in retaliation she puts up her own tag over that. And then her friend rats her out and she ends up going to a school that does not necessarily accommodate very well for deaf people because she's from an all-deaf school. Now she's going to what she calls a normie school. And I really like this. A lot of the story is told via text message because as Julia is deaf, she does like to communicate via text message. There's obviously a lot of art in this as well. I really liked that. The only thing I didn't like about this book is I really didn't like Julia. I did not like her as a character at all. And also the story seemed a little bit reaching for me. I won't go too in depth on why though, because we are going to have a live stream for this and that's going to be the first Monday in May, and I'm really excited to get around to like talking about this with you guys. I'm really, really excited. I want to know everyone's thoughts on it. If you've read this, please let me know down below what you thought of it. But when it comes to contemporary lighthearted, I still thought that this was very, very fun. Go away. Another thing I actually really liked about this book as well is that Julia has two moms. I thought that that was really great and I thought the dynamic between them was done really well. Also, her moms are also deaf, so I think that it is a really cool dynamic, but if you're interested in something a little bit more lighthearted with quite a bit of representation and a very main focus on art, I think you guys would also really like this one as well. And the next two books I have here were arcs from NetGalley. The first one I'm going to speak about is My Name is Venus Black. I loved this book so much more than I thought I was going to, and I actually sat on it for a very long time without reading it. It's about our main character, Venus. Something happens in her life and she actually ends up murdering her stepfather. She's very young when this happens. She's 13, so the story follows her when she is out of prison and kind of trying to get her life back together. I thought this story was done so well. It's very heartbreaking, the relationship that she has with her mom, the relationships that she has with her younger brother, who actually goes missing on the day that she goes to prison. The story was just so much more than I thought it was going to be. It's definitely a very like adult thriller-esque kind of story, but it's also just like life in general and becoming who you're supposed to be and not running from the pain within your life and not reinventing yourself in the sense of like you're running away from who you're supposed to be, but just accepting who you are and kind of working with it. I loved this story. If you're looking for a more adult read with kind of like a very heartbreaking story, there is a bit of child sexual abuse in this, so just trigger warning for that. But I loved this story. I could not get enough of it. I read it in like 2 days and I would definitely recommend it if you guys are interested. I ended up giving this 5 stars. That's how much I loved it. Now the next book I'm going to talk about is actually Failsafe by Anella Dean. I did not know what to expect from this book. You can actually pre-order it on Amazon for $1 and it's only coming out on Kindle. So my expectations were kind of low because I feel like nothing was really put into the book coming out and I didn't know if it was just not well received or what. But it follows our main character Soleil, I call her Soleil because I think it's French. And she lives in this world that is kind of taken over by robots, by computers, and they live within these little pockets in essentially a giant earth-turned computer, and it's really cool because she travels between each of the different settlements and kind of distributes things to other settlements like supplies and food and things like that. And then she meets a gentleman named Echo, who's actually the Failsafe, the only person that can actually stop the computer. And I loved their story together. I liked the little bit of romance that was in this. I just liked the overall plot. I liked the setting. I liked the dialogue. I think it was so well written as well. I feel like I might be in the minority for this, but it was such a fun, easy read for me. And I really needed fun and easy. And I was kind of blown away that it was a sci-fi and I felt that way. So if you like sci-fi and you're looking for something a little bit more lighthearted in a way, but also kind of dense at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain. I think you'd really like this. I think it was really, really cool. Also, I absolutely love the villain in this book. I thought it was just done so well, and I loved the ending. I think you guys should definitely check it out. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April. Now getting into the month of May, as you guys know, I don't do TBRs, but I did want to talk about some books that I am still currently reading. One of these you guys have already seen. I am still trying to get through The Black Prism. It has been a never-ending thing for me. I don't know what it is about me in this book, but I'm really into it when I'm reading, but the second I set it down, I just kind of lose interest. This is definitely very dense, so I think I just need to take a couple of days to just sit down and absorb myself into it and read it. I've been in the mindset recently because it is spring to actually read stuff a little bit more lighthearted, so I think that's why I haven't finished this yet, but I will get around to finishing it in the month of May. And the last book I have here, I'm actually just going to put a picture up on the screen, but I do have the physical copy. It's just in my car right now because I had it at work with me last night, and that would be The Fates Divide by Veronica Roth. This is the book that follows Carve the Mark. I could not tell you guys how much I love Sierra. Sierra is my favorite female main character in a story ever. I'm absolutely in love with her. She is in constant physical and mental pain, and I definitely relate to that, and I think it's kind of a good way to kind of showcase that, but in a different way. if that makes sense. Like, she's in a physical pain, and a lot of people deal with physical pain on a daily basis, and I think it's just done so well. And I know there was a lot of drama behind this, but I'm just completely ignoring the drama and looking at the book just for what it is, and I am in love with it. I have about 50 pages left of this book, and I'm going to finish it tonight. So technically it will be finished in the month of April, but I don't have my overall thoughts kind of gathered and put together for you guys. I will say I like Carve the Mark a lot more, but I still absolutely love The Fates Divide so far. I think it's wonderful. The only thing I don't like about it is that the cover seems a little bit off-center. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the press that they did for this book, but the cover seems off-center, so it's a bit strange. But I am still really liking this. I love being back with all my babies. I am so in love with this story, and I cannot wait to finish it. Alright guys, so that is it for my April wrap-up. I will have a video going up on Wednesday. I'm going to be doing the the try a chapter tag, where I try 5 different books and see which one of them I would like to continue to read in the month of May. That's pretty much all I'm going to be doing for the month of May when it comes to my TBR. There are a few books that I've created a TBR shelf. I don't know if you guys saw that in my vlog, and I want to make sure that I'm reading the books from there. So I'm not really going to be doing a strict TBR, but I am doing like seasonal TBRs. So I'm going to do a try a chapter and just see which book I would like to start with, so you guys can look forward to that video on Wednesday. But I hope you guys had a good month of April, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!